Cold winds tore through the night, rattling the shutters of a lonely farmhouse. Inside, an elderly widow named Martha stood at her window, clutching a worn shawl. It had been 15 years since her husband Henry passed, leaving her with a house too big, silence too heavy, and debts that threatened to take what little remained. The storm howled, but then came another sound, motorcycle engines struggling against the cold. 20 men in leather jackets stood shivering at her gate. Martha hesitated. Who were they? But kindness outweighed fear. She remembered Henry's words, "Always help the traveler, Martha. Even if he looks like an enemy." She opened her door. The bikers entered cautiously, bringing the smell of wet leather and gasoline. Martha went to her kitchen and did what her hands had always done. She made soup, sliced bread, and served them with trembling but steady hands. Slowly the tension eased. One biker told of their convoy scattered by the storm, how desperation drove them to her light. As the fire warmed them, Martha spoke of Henry, of his time in the war, of the loneliness that followed his death. Her voice trembled but didn't break. The men began sharing their own stories, brothers lost overseas, nights when silence felt like a coffin, roads traveled not for rebellion but refuge. They were veterans, survivors marked by the same grief that carved itself into Martha's life. Then came a sharp cough. A young man slumped forward, gasping. Panic filled the room, but Martha moved with surprising speed. "Space," she commanded. Her hands, once trembling, now worked with practiced precision, checking his pulse, pressing cool cloth to his burning forehead. "She knows what she's doing," one biker whispered in awe. The young man's breathing steadied. Respect filled every face. Morning came. The storm had passed. Martha served her last eggs and bread. The men thanked her with quiet reverence, then a rumble approached, not thunder but engines. Hundreds of them. 1,000 Hell's Angels crested the hill, chrome flashing in the sun. Martha's knees weakened. The 20 men stepped outside and stood as the massive convoy circled her farmhouse. Then one man raised his hand. Instantly 1,000 engines fell silent. "These men ride for me," the leader said, his voice steady. "Last night you saved their lives." He explained that years ago, Martha had helped one of their own, the same man she just nursed through the night. "Your kindness was never repaid. We will not ride away owing you." Trucks arrived. Men handed her envelopes, debts cleared, taxes paid, every notice stamped paid in full. Others swarmed her roof, replacing shingles, mending the barn, filling her pantry. They brought horses, stacked firewood, painted her walls white again. What had been a crumbling farmhouse became whole. By mid-morning the work was done. The bikers mounted their machines. One by one they rode past in perfect formation, each raising a gloved hand in salute. Neighbors lined the street, no longer seeing a lonely widow, but a matriarch honored by an army. When silence returned, Martha sat by her window. On the table beside her lay a single leather glove the leader had left, a covenant. She closed her hand over it and whispered a prayer. Outside the wind stirred the snow. In her heart, Martha could still hear them, the steady hum of engines fading into eternity. Because sometimes the smallest act can ripple outward until it shakes the very ground beneath us. Be kind.